Yeah, thanks for having me here in Sweden. I'm going to talk about the clash between DevOps and quality assurance. That's me, John. My talk. Myself, I got various job titles, so I created just a list of words which you can combine together, and whatever is good on the market, you can assert it there and book me. Mostly I work as an agile coach with a focus on quality assurance and even some DevOps stuff. And even like in the job, I like to do a lot of things in my private life. So I got a lot of hobbies like cycling, martial arts, a lifeguard, and photography. And some photographies you're going to see here. First I would like to know, did you ever had some disagreement with somebody of the QA department? Who had a disagreement with somebody of the QA department? Okay, I'm gonna ask about that later. The other thing is like who had not some disagreement, but some successfully results which could be achieved together with the QA department. Yeah, that's also people even gonna ask that later. For me, like we had a discussion about are you a DevOps engineer before? Any job, no matter what you do, even if it was building ship like 1,000 years ago, you need some certain stuff. First one is the easiest one. Sometimes you need tools to build a ship. You need tools like an axe, like a saw, like a hammer. You need some skills. Like mostly it's about using tools. Some skills could just be achieved with your hands and your minds. And you need a certain mindset. That one hasn't changed from all jobs. No matter what you did, if you're building ships like the Vikings, this one is in Roskilde in Denmark, they build ships the old way. Or if you are baking cakes, or if you are DevOps, or a QA engineer, or even an draw UX engineer or whatever. So you mostly got tools, you got skills, and you got mindset. Mindset is even, it belongs to culture. I thought about writing mindset or culture here. So we got somebody like I call it the traditional DevOps engineer. It's somebody who uses tools like CLI, automatization, Kubernetes, Ansible, Docker, Chef, whatever is up. The next one is coming next week, I think. You need some skills, and those skills are mostly configuring environments and using tools or whatever, scripting, hold the environment stable and analyze failures. And you need a mindset, and with this point I wrote him, it's the master of the operational platform. They run the operations stable, hold the operations stable, and keep the process running. And if you attach the DevOps stuff, deliver fast and satisfy the customer. You even bound it to customer satisfaction. With the traditional QA engineer, it's a bit different. You got other tools. You got JMeter, Selenium, HP Quality Center, or whatever. And you got skills, and the skills are different. It's finding bugs, analyzing code, execute tests, and write reports. QA engineer is writing a lot of reports in most enterprise companies. And you have another mindset. A QA engineer is mostly not building something. He's making something better by proving it's right or wrong, and showing errors to make this improvement. You have to keep it in mind if you work together, like if you have the QA side, you see a product different than if you are developing or operating it. I brought you some experience of my projects, where I've been in a lot of projects, and I picked 5 where we are working or getting together with QA and DevOps stuff. The first one is where firstly, was attached to the term DevOps. Actually, we started the project, I was hired as a Scrum Master. I did even some technical stuff. When I started, they said, okay, John, welcome here, but we don't have the team complete yet. We don't have any servers, and we don't have any infrastructure. So what I did is, okay, we already decided for a product to run. I needed to set up some server. I just got a VM and typed apt-get install Apache. And the other operator shouted at me, oh, John, you're a little bit DevOps. Just because I was installing the server myself and they didn't expect it. So that's how I got into the DevOps stuff. And usually you say there's nothing like a sprint zero, but often like companies have a time before this project really starts, before everybody is on board. And at this project, we use this time to set up our technical stack, which was GitLab was quite new at that time, and some tests and other stuff. We had some things which were working out and getting together. The first one was we were able to plan how to do quality assurance and infrastructure before we started coding. That was an advantage you don't ever have. We decided to get something to show really fast and build quality already in, which is a principle. And we decided to test the migration early. We had the content management system, an old one, and it should be transferred to the new one. And we decided not to do it at the end when we are ready, just to do it at the start and keep it optimized. So we had a few learnings, like GitLab is really best tool for managing Git repositories at the time. And it's useful to show something fast to your customer, because then you get early feedback and can adapt on it. The second project where I approached, I was hired as they got it, ISTQB tester. ISTQB is its test certification. I just did it, found that job and think, okay, it's nice to work on it if you got the certification. Actually, what I did, I came to this company and they told me, oh, project is running for years. And I asked, where's your test environment? Oh, you can go to the developers and they're going to tell you how to configure your laptop and you can get it run there. And I was a bit disappointed because that was not working out for me. And so at the end, we were setting up a whole infrastructure as code. For that, at least we can generate a virtual machine to run it and use Ansible stuff. And at that project, I found out there was quite a gap between developers and quality assurance. I was walking through the developer's office and asked them something like, just for unit test results. And actually, developer got almost aggressive. You testers always ask us for stuff and never help us out. And I was, hey, what's happened? And he was, the other tester guy, he always came to blame us. And I was like, okay, I'm not coming to blame us. We're going to work together and make everything possible. So there was already strong disagreement. And we could actually change it so we could make the culture working together. The operations were completely away. Like the whole project was running for years and not caring about operations, which was a failure. But it was an insurance company. They got a lot of money and they can afford a project running for years. With a startup, it would be crash faster. They even had like various contractors. So there was a blaming culture, like that company did it bad, or just showing the others did not do it good could work out to get your contract extended. So what I learned of it was insurance business is slow. They don't work as fast as other ones. But it's not everywhere funny, but it's possible to reach stuff if you bring new approaches, and just implementing stuff can show others to accelerate. The next project was really interesting. If it comes to, it does not matter how fast you deploy. And this company came and they told me, in December we built a CD and we send it out to our customers, and that's only a version. And they did not integrate frequently, so it was completely away from continuous integration or deployment. And they even had like Windows desktop software. And we needed to set up some tools ourselves. And first people told us like, that kind of stuff, it works for startups or Google-like companies, but not for us. And my luck was I had two very good colleagues over there, and they were really hands-on, and we were able to create something like a nightly build, to create a version every night, and people were really happy about it and did not believe it's possible. And with our approach, actually it was possible, and now they have something like build monitors and the nightly builds over there. And the other clash was like we did also aligned it to the QA line before they run tests, manual tests by people. And after that, people had to see at this test if they were run well, or they had to manual see the results. We asserted new approaches like acceptance test-driven development, which makes your acceptance criteria as tests automatically executable. And I even had to work with, they called it Fachentwickler, which means like some kind of a business analyst. And they're even writing down, it's in Gherkin language to get a test suite which is properly and fast to execute and get new acceptance criteria into the product. And the biggest learning of this project was just implementing impossible known stuff can accelerate the whole company and break barriers and make others work on it. My other project I started as an Agile and QA coach. They had a historical grown product, like a lot of companies, which was working for years. And they were in some kind of refactoring phase, like they put effort on refactoring. They're getting slow because features could not be implemented as fast anymore as the code was a mess. And actually, business noticed it, that their features were not that fast, and so they decided to put some effort on refactoring. The whole problem was refactoring didn't work out that fast because testing was complicated. So they had a large test suite, but with the result, we run our tests, but have to see manually if they're working or not. And they had some test systems, but they had something like test system 1 to 8 and no automatically deployment, so they had to check if something is deployed on test system 1 or test system 8, or if it can be reproduced. So what we decided over there is containerization of the application is some nice stuff. So we were making it able to run it in containers, even on a test system or on a local system or on Kubernetes. The test pipeline was on a legacy system. They used some old version of TeamCity, and we switched it over to GitLab CI, and even have configuration as code for test runners. Like we had a big Selenium runners, and made it possible to run, create them dynamically instead of maintaining it all the time. The containerization of the application could make testing possible easier, could make automated tests possible easier, and we actually split the old big test suite into the old big flaky test suite and the new hardened test suite. And the hardened test suite was, you can trust if it's green or trust if it's red, which is most important for a test suite. At this point, I needed different skills, like we needed to set up the new containerization with mostly Docker, and even refactor the test suite, which was Selenium and JUnit, I think. And even did some new PHP stuff. And with this project, we were not able to make this big bang approach. As we had to have certain small steps and do small steps and got it continuous, and it's more sustainable if you do it continuous. So they're still working on it, getting better and better, but they're on a good way now, and features are already faster to the live. At the next project, I really got to something called a DevOps team. I was hired as an Agile coach again, and with this, they had mostly like a big team which was doing the day-to-day business for operations, and certainly some applications teams were taking over DevOps parts, and they decided, okay, we have a data center, but maybe we want to move our company, and our data center is here, and that's that would be difficult to move it. It's better to go to the cloud. So what we did is splitting this team up in some day-to-day operators, which even did some DevOps stuff, and some migration team, and the migration team was mostly using new technologies like infrastructure as code, configuration as code, and get it to some kind of cloud. Maybe I tell later private. And they had multi-legacy applications. Like they had a lot of applications which were quite old, running on old Java versions, running on specific software, even like an iSeries, which is not available in the cloud. And they have, in their business, they have kind of performance peak. Like before Christmas, they need more performance. And we needed to ensure the new infrastructure will work out with this peak. One problem was like, at some point, people shout, we don't have time to do it really good. I've heard it before. Then people start doing it worse and lose a lot of time, and then they do it really good as well. The most clashes where we had together is like, we need to do performance testing before migration. We needed to find some methods to have an indication of our performance before we go live. What we actually also did is monitored live testing in production. Like we had both versions, the cloud version and the old version running, and made some A/B split and monitored performance. So we could switch back if it's not running out, or switch over if it's running out. And this A/B testing, most people do it on e-commerce stuff, but you can also do it on performance stuff if you switch infrastructure. So you have some backup if your new plan does not work out. And finally, we reach also with this something as code. You need some quality assurance for your own scripts. Like there was 10 developers working on this Ansible scripts, and they looked like if 10 developers worked on it. And even, they were not all completely experts. So we needed to refactor that stuff. We needed to introduce something like lint, and we need there's some test-driven approaches to run them automatically and run them frequently at least. It was more like a cultural skill to enabling experiments to make people experiment at that time. And we find out like resting is not testing. Just putting an environment there does not mean it will work out if you put pressure on it. And you even cannot test all things before they're going live. So I got a bit conclusion on these learnings. There's some need of keeping your predictive environment. Have to split in two environment. You have a prediction, which is your test. No matter what you do there, if you do it manually, if you have user testing, maybe in user studios, or just run some stuff. And you have the real life environment. Maybe a beta test is in a real life environment or something in between, but you got this both things, both worlds, and you have to combine it somewhere and cannot just stick to one. And the mean time to production or mean time to integrated test could be reduced if you join the forces of quality assurance and DevOps engineers. No matter if you have certain people or just certain skills in one team together, if you work together, you can make the whole process faster. And there's one thing which is really important for quality assurance, even for if you business stuff, it's fast feedback. It helps you at all stages. If you're able to get fast feedback on your technique, on your customer behavior, you are able to react on it and improve yourself. So one thing is, you should learn from each other, like working together, and you don't have to become a DevOps or a quality assurance professional to work together. You just have to understand the other side and maybe just step in the other position and feel what he thinks. See your software from the quality perspective or from the operations perspective to make it, make it working out and improve it. You have to see each other as friends. of course, if a QA guy is coming over with some audit stuff from financial, governmental requirements, he has another proposal, and sometimes he's not that nice, but you have to see as friends and taking you together through his process and deliver quality software which is operational. And yeah, you need to consider operational requirements early in your team, especially in development. Running a project for 5 years without getting anything operational might take some difficulties. And the sole automation stuff itself, it's the best kind of documentation for a project. If you have wiki pages where you have to ask a developer, in the one project I went there and told them, yeah, there's a wiki page. I got there, oh, it's not working. Yeah, we forgot to write something down which has changed last week or 3 months ago, which always happens with scheduled documentation. So, what does DevOps approaches mean for QA? You get this stuff like something as code is the best documentation, and something as code helps you to reduce the cost of setting up a test system. With automated stuff, you can setting up a test system and the whole test with just a few clicks or maybe command line execution. With setting up and manually test gets extremely expensive, and you cannot run that frequently. And having environments early even has makes fast feedback on that possible. So what's on your project? If you go on the project, there are 2 different things which I got through. Sometimes you got a role, some mindset. Like you have people who tell you, oh, I'm a tester and I just find the bugs, and that's my job. If I find a lot of bugs, I did it well, and just blame the developers. Actually, I met those guys who tell me, yeah, I'm here to show that the developer did something wrong, and I need to show it proofly. But with this role, with this mindset, you cannot make a project a success. I prefer the mission mindset, which has you like, I do anything which is needed to take the project to success. Even if I'm QA and I could help them improving their own scripts, I can do it. If it does not, harm my other activities, I should help each other. So that was my talk so far, and I got some questions about what are your experience when you get together with people in QA or operations, or had that kind of differences. Are there anyone with experience? Did not work out that good as expected. So, we have some time for questions, or maybe somebody puts it later. For me, like the conclusion is, for project success, multiple perspectives are beneficial in mindset, in skills, in tools. The clash between DevOps, QA, and all the other roles, like working together, brings your project to a better success. Any questions left? Yeah?
So in all of these projects that you were doing, how did you get the definement on quality?
The what?
Definement of quality. How did you define quality?
It depends a bit. Like we had projects which were for the insurance companies, they have a definition of rules because it's quite regulated. You need to create a lot of documentation. For example, you need to verify which software was installed at what time. So you have to include that at that point. If you have something other with a legacy project and it's e-commerce and they can define everything themselves, you have define project on your own. Like you have to introduce metrics like having bugs, or and put it on that.
So those testers that view their role as just finding bugs to prove that someone did something wrong, which is extremely interesting. Did they work through a metric, like you did your job if you find X bugs this month? Because apparently this is a thing.
Yeah, we had no metrics like that. We had metrics of bugs from And another project like bugs coming out from the user or own bugs. And or you have the other approach with this ATDD, acceptance test criteria. You can just, the other point, like finding it wrong, is verifying it's right. If you have a strict requirement definition, you can just verify it's working the right way.
Thank you.
We've got a few more minutes if there's any other questions.
One of the learnings was about getting fast feedback. So how can you get fast feedback, but with that feedback, using it to improve in a relatively fast way?
Yeah, in case of you get the system together, you can have user tests on it, you can have manual exploratory test sessions, or just test yourself, or the automated executed tests are delivering fast feedback. And if you even like sending out one CD per year, it's hard to get anything. If you build a lot of builds, you can test at least manually, or have some user groups on them testing.
Any more questions?
So this might be a bit of a challenge because we don't have a QA team. And the one QA team, or the one QA person that we had, which was me, up until a few months ago, was devolved, and I got a new role because we wanted to put the QA responsibility onto the developers and being a part of the team. So, and we're very like service-based teams. So one thing that I thought a lot about during my time as a QA engineer was, how do I work with QA in Agile? And how do I keep doing that continuously? Because it was a very fast-paced movement. We have several deploys per day. We have like a schedule for deploying, like book a calendar. So because we have like 8 teams that deploy sometimes multiple times a day. So that means the test environments are changing rapidly. And it's very hard to even perform any kind of manual testing without like locking things down. So how would you say that we should work to enable, like, to me it seemed like a scale, right? On one hand you have testing, and the other hand you have fast deployment, and they can't work together. Do you have any experience of where you've managed to make it work together instead of being opposite sides?
I got some experience of it. Like you told me there's nobody with a QA title on his business card, right? But is there somebody with a QA mind in your project team? As far as I understood, you got test environments, so somebody is doing QA. You can have the approach of a certain team or certain people assigned, but you can have even certain artifacts, for example, a community of practice for running test stuff, or a certain time during your sprint which you spend on that. So you just need the mindset of making your software better, and not certain people with a title on your business card. And you can get it by some skills. For example, I got a lot of good experience with this exploratory testing sessions. If you run it with all developers, they got more aware of their bugs and of their software. So you just run certain stuff to keep this mindset growing. So.
Yeah, so that's us for time, but it sounds like maybe there's some ideas for open space discussions later there, so cool.
Okay, thanks for having me here, and was a lot of fun talking.
Thanks very much, John.